Are you
Good
ready for
evening,
me to
everyone.
take off?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to District 63's Mentor Mondays. My name is Stephen Shaner. I will be your host. Tonight, we will be learning about developing your club marketing plan. And without further ado, let's get right into this. I'm ready to take notes. I'm sure you are too. Please welcome our presenter, Tonia Latham.
Hello, my fellow Toastmaster friends. Long time no see. I thought about that. Very rarely have I got to spend this much time with everyone. So I'm excited to get to spend tonight with you also and walk through something that I think will be very valuable for us. What does a club marketing plan need to look like? And what are those pieces that you need to consider before you just start jumping off the deep end and saying, hey, we're going to do this, or hey, we're going to do that? I do want to say thank you for Lance Miller. You all had him on Mentor Mondays a few weeks ago. My notebook is full of just some of his ideas also and how that relates to marketing. Marketing is my day job. Marketing is what I'm passionate about. I love to help businesses climb their marketing mountains. So I'm going to walk you through how some of that could apply to Toastmasters clubs, the standards of marketing, the questions that we ask for that, and how that could fit exactly into what we do. So I'm going to share screen and we will start walking through. All of my contact info is down at the bottom of that, so you can feel free at any time. Pop me an email, connect with me on LinkedIn. I love to do LinkedIn connections. So we're going to talk about what planning looks like and what implementation looks like. I am open in how I do this. Feel free to ask questions. I usually stop about every 5 to 10 minutes and just see if someone has a question. You can pop it into chat if you want to, and we'll also try to do some Q&A at the end if I don't run us over time. So let's get started. If I use a phrase that you may not be familiar with, my company has an online glossary, epic9.com/glossary. You can find a lot of the marketing terms there. So feel free to write those down, ask about them. You don't have to go to the glossary. You can always ask me, but I always like to include that just so you'll have that reference. So really, what is a marketing plan? At the end of the day, it's how do we get to the people who need Toastmasters? How do we get that right information out to them in a way that they will respond? And a marketing plan, we also think about who designs it and then who implements it. For Toastmasters, we have a dream team already in place, my friends. We have our VP PR, who is technically our marketing director. And then we have our VP of membership, that's our sales director. Marketing gets our leads in the door. A lead is someone that is interested in our product. Sales closes the deal. So we want VPPR, we want our marketing to get our guests in. We want our VPM to close the deal and convert them to members. So we need those two fields to work very closely together. This all comes back to our executive team. Everybody needs to be involved in that. And we're going to talk a little bit deeper about how that works. But those two officers are your two most important when it comes to marketing and sales, or guests and members. So some of the questions that I would encourage you to ask as you're thinking about how does marketing actually work for us? What are the percentage of people that we invite that actually come to Toastmasters? Then what's the percentage of those guests that actually become members, and the percentage of members that remain after a year? In my world, we call that leads, acquisition, and retention. So a lead means that we actually get them in. Acquisition, we convert them. They become a member. Retention, we've kept them. You may also have heard this saying before, it's a whole lot easier to keep a client than it is to get a new one. While we're in the process of marketing, we're not only out there going after acquisitions, we're also thinking, how do we keep our current members? And then how do those current members actually become some of our best opportunities to get other members back in? So those are questions I encourage everybody to ask. And we want to know that because I'm going to talk about some numbers. How do we measure our success? Those are 3 questions that every club needs to be asking. Now, that's often hard because you may have that member who invites everybody that they see. And that's hard. Paul, I'm talking about you because you're that fabulous. So it's hard to measure that out. But just thinking through, even if we can't get that first one, what about those guests? We keep track of guests. We enter those into our free Toast Host CRM on the back end. What percentage become members? Why do we want to know that? Because we need to know how much we actually have to go out. Do we have to get 10 guests in to get 1 member? Do we have to get 20 invitations to get 1 new guest? So those are always things that we want to be thinking about. Okay, moving right along. Your most valuable document for your club, for your goals, is your club success plan. You have already defined what you want your goals to be in that club success plan. Are you wanting to add 3 new members this 6 months? Are you wanting to do 3 open houses? All of that is in the club success plan. This helps us then take those numbers and grow them into what has to be done on the marketing side of things. In business, we say you don't have a marketing plan if you don't have business goals, because you don't have anything to measure against. How are you going to know if you were successful? Was your marketing money worth it? Did you get a return on your investment? If we didn't know what we were starting with and aiming for, then we didn't have anywhere really to measure our goals. So the same thing applies here in Toastmasters. Our goals are in this club success plan. That's where I would also encourage our executive councils, be specific, be focused, be generous with your thoughts there of perhaps we could stretch just a little bit. And instead of just willy-nilly throwing that number out there, use marketing thoughts of how could we actually reach that number. So here are 6 questions that I often ask when I'm working with a club, with a company, whatever, for us to figure out the marketing. And these are the marketing steps that we really want to walk through. What are we good at? What are our goals? Who is our target? How do we reach them? How do they want info or to be reached? And how do we measure that success? We're going to break each one of these down as we go through tonight. And at the end, we're going to apply this to something specific in a Toastmasters club so you can see how each one of those fits in together. So let's start. What are we good at? We have a brand in Toastmasters. We are known for communication skills, leadership development, public speaking, networking. These are the things that we know that we're good at. And this is what we're actually telling our prospects that they need from us. We have to identify then as we go along, how will that help them? But this is our brand. This is what we're good at. This would be the same thing as if I went into a company and I started with their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, their SWOT analysis. And their strengths could be everything from fabulous customer service, amazing turnaround times, the only company in this area who builds this specific product. We're the same here. These are our strengths. This is what we are good at. What are our goals? This takes us back to that club success plan. What did we say that we wanted in our club success plan? If we're still writing that, this is our time to help define that then. Are we going to be distinguished Toastmasters, so many levels of that? Are we going after a president's distinguished club? Do we want X number of educational goals? Do we need 5 guests this month? 10 guests a quarter, 1 open house per month. All of those will be in our club success plan. They help us then to have something to aim for. Who is our target? We're going to dive deep for just a second on this one. This is actually one of my favorite parts, is helping figure out what targets really are. And this is not just everybody I meet could benefit from Toastmasters. I agree, they probably could. But in marketing, we want to get a little bit more specific. We want to look at some demographics, some attributes. Who are those specific people? So I created 3 personas for us that could potentially benefit from Toastmasters. And yes, all these are made up people and made up names. But first is our new friend, Mackenzie. Mackenzie's 21 years old. She's a barista at the local coffee shop. She'll soon be graduating from Pellissippi State University, which is a nice community college. She shares an apartment with her friends, but she's applying for some other jobs. So thinking about Mackenzie, and she's someone we would want to reach, she could benefit from leadership development. She's applying for those other jobs. She's going to be going through some interviews soon. So public speaking and communication skills would be very valuable to her. By defining who Mackenzie is, it's almost like when I was in nonprofit and I had to write those donor letters every year saying, please write me your end of year check. I always had a picture of my grandmother up on the wall because I wrote my letter to my grandmother knowing what would appeal to her. The same thing for us as we're building up these personas. We need to know these people that we want to become members of our club. This helps us. Mackenzie may not be in your community. You may have someone else. You may have an Alex. Alex is in his early 30s. He's working his way up the corporate ladder. He just moved into this area recently to take a job over at Clayton, which is one of our big manufacturing facilities. He and his significant other are considering buying a house, but Alex might need a better job in order to increase that income to get a house in this housing market right now. So how can Alex benefit from this? If he's working his way up the corporate ladder, more than likely he's doing a lot of presentations. He's probably Zoom calling tons throughout his week. So between public speaking, presentation skills, communication skills, everything like that. Networking might also benefit Alex because who knows, he might meet that perfect mortgage lender who's sitting next to him at Toastmasters. So all of this plays in. Now, don't think I have forgotten my own age group, because now meet Deanna. Deanna's in her mid-50s. She's lived in this area forever. She knows everybody who's ever lived on her street. She's going to be retiring in a few years. She's married and she has 4 grandkids that she'll tell you everything about. And she just joined a local nonprofit board of directors. So why would Deanna need Toastmasters? That last one's actually one of the most important pieces there. She's going to be communicating and having to evaluate information that is given to her. Toastmasters can help her improve not only her speaking skills, but her listening skills so that she can be that valuable board member. These are just 3 examples. All of us could take 15-20 minutes and come up with examples of people we've either been in Toastmasters with, we know could benefit, or we've heard that there's that new group in town, and what if? So I encourage every club do this. Just sit down and think. Not everybody looks like me. Not everybody has the same attributes that I have. I am not the ideal Toastmaster, because there is no such thing. We all look differently. We all come from different areas. We all have different reasonings for why Toastmasters would appeal to us. So that's why having these multiple personas can help us throughout this process. This also leads us a little bit more into who is our audience. Back at the beginning, you heard me mention about how your VPPR and your VPM work well together, because we're talking about, we also have current Toastmasters who we're marketing to. We want to keep them. We have prospects. We want to acquire them. And then we have our community stakeholders. Those are the influencers that can actually help us in multiple ways. They themselves may never come, but that's your Chamber of Commerce. That's your other civic groups. That's your movers and shakers who have that influence and could remember, ooh, I've got this new protege. Toastmasters would be great for him or her. So always be thinking about your audiences in addition to those personas, the people that we're aiming in for. So now we're on to the next part of that original list. And how do we reach our target? One question I always ask is, where are they already? And what are they already doing? What are their habits? Are they already at the coffee shop where you hold your Toastmasters meeting? Are they already on Facebook? Are they already in the downtown area? Where are they? So you have to start with where your audience is already sitting, where your target is already communicating and getting information. Then the next part of that is, what type of info do they want? How do they want to be reached? This can span the gamut for us from top to bottom. This can be everything from print, that can be flyers about upcoming open houses or special events. It can be ads that are in specialized magazines. It can be newspaper articles, social media, posts. It can be shares to public groups. In Maryville, we have a wonderful group of over 10,000 people called Maryville Comes Together. That is probably the closest thing we have to a town crier in nowadays. And if you want information out there, you go put it over there on Maryville Comes Together, and everybody knows about it. So thinking not just of, well, we have this Facebook page, we have 50 followers on it, and we might get one person to like our post. That's okay. But take that same information, share it to popular groups. I think Stephen was the one who said that where he was before, he found an online group that already existed and started popping information out there. Where are they already and how do they want to be reached? Don't expect them to come to us magically. We go to them. We also have digital advertising. Facebook ads, those can be as cheap as you need them to be. You can promote events through both Facebook and LinkedIn. And those actually get advertised in the strangest ways. My company does free workshops about every 3 to 4 weeks. We put those out on LinkedIn events. We do not boost them, but we use some keywords concerning marketing, communications. We had someone show up from Uganda at our event 2 weeks ago because LinkedIn recommended it to him as an event that might be something he would be interested in because the keywords matched up. So when we're using communication, public speaking, leadership skills development, all of those things, we don't know how those are going to get spread out there because people are already interested in it. We're putting it out where it can be found. Also, your website. Whether that's the district website, the club website, it needs to be current and it needs to be appealing. It also needs to be fully functional for this. If it is not fully functional for mobile, then 80 to 85% of searches are happening here now. We've got problems. So I encourage you, if your club site is not very well functional for this, that should be one of the first things, because all of our digital should lead back to the website. The website should be the repository of all information. And it should be as up to date as if it was just new info posted 3 minutes ago. People do not like to go search for something, and they also don't like to get out-of-date info. So that's where the website is extremely important. We've also got email. That can be newsletters that the club is creating. That can be follow-up emails. And email can also be from another organization. This is where I was talking about community partners earlier, those influencers. What if Rotary sent out the email for you to their membership about your upcoming event? What if the Chamber of Commerce included the event in their weekly news blast to their 1,500 people? So it's not just what we have, but it's how we can use that where other people can partner with us. We also don't want to forget phone calls and personal invitations. That is still reaching people in ways that they want to be reached. Now, all of this is very quick. You notice I haven't broken down a bunch of this yet. This is just to give us some ideas of how these questions can be answered. This is what we call a sales funnel. And while we're not exactly selling a product, we are selling a service. We want someone to come in. The top are things that are done digitally. The bottom are things that are still done in person or not digitally. And we move people through, starting at awareness all the way down the funnel to conversion down at the end for loyalty. So as you think about it for awareness, there's different things. Those targeted ads. If you have an upcoming special event and you have that event ad on LinkedIn or Facebook, you're targeting it in, whether you're paying for it or you're using organic, which is making sure the right search terms are in there. We're getting it in front of people who need to know about it. We're making them aware of us. We may also have that article in the local newspaper. That's awareness. People don't know about Toastmasters. They've never heard the word before. They read that article though. Great idea. We work people through this funnel and how we get them into decision. Now, there comes a point in here too where marketing separates and sales takes over a little bit more. We're going to talk a little bit more about that at the end also. So back to our audience. What will capture their attention? Special events. In Maryville, we have something called the Sky City Entrepreneurial Center. And Sky City works with new business people, entrepreneurs, people who are needing new places to work, to have co-working space. They don't have their own offices. They don't want their own offices yet. And periodically, they will put on workshops, or they will bring in some very powerful local business people who built their companies from the ground up or have that great piece of information, and they're captivating speakers. That could be a great co-branded opportunity and not just have to be our regular Toastmasters. What if we partnered with them on that? Special offers, speechcraft, anything like that to give someone those skills. Socialization. We are desperate for opportunities to communicate, whether in person or virtually right now, so we can still offer that. Improvement, that goes down back to, do you want to improve your leadership? Do you want to improve your communication? People want to know how they can contribute. As they're growing in leadership, will they have the opportunity to become a leader inside our safe space? Excellence. We have to be the best at what we're doing, and everything we do needs to show that, from our website to our emails to you name it, because we're getting judged before they walk in the door by what we show them. So all of this matters, and then back to that up-to-date information. So knowing what captures those three special people we defined earlier. Another thing I want to encourage us is, let's pull back on the jargon. We talk about pathways. We talk about legacy. And I'm sure if we took 5 minutes, all of us could go around and talk about phrases that we throw around as Toastmasters, table topics. Someone who is not familiar with who we are, they know none of that. So none of that should really show up in our marketing, because that's not appealing to them. We need to speak the language that they're already speaking. So we're coming close to the end. How do we measure success? When you're implementing your marketing, we go back to the goals. Know your numbers at the beginning. Was your goal that you wanted to have one open house a month with 5 guests? Did we get that? Check your tactics. We may distribute 100 flyers and think, wow, that was a great marketing plan. If we didn't get any results off of those 100 flyers, it wasn't a great marketing plan. It may have been the most beautiful graphic ever designed, but if it did not produce results, then it was not what we wanted it to be at that time. And we need that follow-through plan. Marketing can get people in the door, but if we're not ready for them to continue through, then we met part of the marketing goal, but we didn't meet the conversion sales goal. So we have to think about all of this in steps and phases. So let's look at a few more things. Remember, I told you we've got our dream team, our marketing director and our sales director, VP PR and VPM. So now let's take those 6 questions and look at them and how we could actually apply them, not necessarily in the whole year, but in one specific campaign. We know what we're good at: communication, public speaking, leadership. We're setting a specific goal for the month of May. We want to have 5 guests. And those are unique guests. We don't want Mary Sue coming every Tuesday in the month of May and we're counting her 5 times. 5 unique guests. Who is our target? I'm going to play back a little bit on my club. My club is the Morning Club in downtown Maryville, Tennessee. We meet at the local coffee shop. We're in that downtown location, so we can reach those downtown businesses. So what if we put our focus specifically on people who work at those restaurants and those businesses downtown? So we've narrowed our geography a little bit. How are we going to reach them? We're going to have an open house on May 4th, and we're going to get the founder of Cirrus Airlines to come in and be one of our guest speakers. Yes, we're going to walk through a club meeting, but we're going to have him because we want that draw. How do we want to get that information out there to them? We're going to cooperate with our local Chamber of Commerce. They're going to list that for us in their Monday email blast. We're going to set up Facebook and LinkedIn events. We're also going to create flyers that can be passed out downtown. We all eat downtown in our area. We all go in these restaurants. It'd be a great way to do that. We can get the chamber to send out an email blast for us. We can also use our own email information that we have from previous guests or prospects, everything like that. Then, how do we measure that success? What's our goal? 5 guests for the month of May. Did we get those guests? Let's say that we did. Our VPM is Charmaine. She is phenomenal. When she sits down and meets with them, she's going to ask them how they heard about us. That is our way to say what worked. Did they all get a personal invitation? That tells us then we've got an idea there of where we're going. Did they hear about us because they saw it on the chamber? Did they get a flyer on the table at the restaurant? All of that helps us lead back to what actually worked. Now, this is a very condensed plan. You'll notice, though, it has some specifics. We have some timelines in here. What are our goals? The month of May is specific, and we're numerically sound, 5 guests. We didn't say that we want as many guests as we could possibly get for the next year. We narrowed this down. We also defined our demographics, and we built our own persona for this. Who is our target? The people who work at those restaurants and businesses in downtown. Specifically, what's that one thing we're pushing them to? We've got a call to action in here, that open house on May the 4th. So we're measuring very specifically here. So when we get down to that last question, we know what we can actually ask to see if this worked or not. This was quick. This was not heavily in depth. I could spend all day with you and walk through this, but I wanted you to see how this could apply specifically to our clubs and the questions that we want to ask so that we can continue to grow. So what questions do you have that I can help with?
Tonia, I had one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Early in your presentation, you gave us some percentages, percentage of people we invite, percentages of guests that become members, and percentages of members that remain. Now, the second two, absolutely, I can see how easy those are to calculate. Tell me the first one, percentage of people we invite based on what?
That would be a question that I would ask each member who's involved in this. Did you pass out 20 flyers? So to those 20, can we track any of that back? Did you personally invite 10 people to come? Maybe the club set something up with that of, can you send out 10 emails this week and ask 10 specific people? Or can you make 10 phone calls?
Okay.
Anything that we can actually track helps us determine then, was it effective? Sometimes we can't, because we may put that LinkedIn event out there. It may reach 3,000 people. So it's going to be harder on that one, but we want to try to track what we can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In a Zoom-based meeting, how before the end, before people take off, how do you get their contact information and nail down, get them to stick around long enough that you can talk to them and close that sale?
That is a great question. I know how our VPM does it sometimes. She asks all of our guests to please drop their info in chat. And then she can follow up with them either with a phone call or an email. And then some of our club also would stay around after, so that the Zoom does not immediately end at 8:30 a.m. for us. So if someone wants to stay around and have some questions.
Tonia, this is Janet. First of all, I want to thank you so much for your presentation. Thought it was extremely helpful.
Thank you, Janet.
A couple of comments. I know that Meetup has been another source that quite a number of clubs have been using. So that's one that people might want to think about adding. And I know Stacy was helpful to us for helping us get on the site for our club, because I know a bunch of Toastmasters clubs have been on Meetup. The other thing I want to mention is that for us, most of this information works great because we're a community club, but some clubs are corporate. And that's a whole nother ballgame for marketing, because it's a closed club.
Mm-hmm.
And each club has to work within their corporate structure to be able to reach out and possibly not be able to use a lot of these public mediums that we've discussed here. So I'm just bringing that up because that can be a whole different set of criteria for each of those corporate clubs.
I appreciate that you shared that, Janet. And what I would encourage in that situation is there may be restrictions that apply in a lot of places. You may be wanting to aim toward downtown, and you know that there's one large office complex. You may not even be able to get into the front door because COVID restrictions don't allow any guests in right now. So we all have to look at what are the restrictions that may affect using a specific way of marketing, and then figure out what does work and how can we get information out in the channels that do work.
I know for some of the corporate clubs I've worked with, for example, they do a lot of elevator marketing where they post signs in elevators, and they use electronic boards that they might have on the halls and all kinds of other resources that wouldn't work necessarily with community clubs. So you
Well,
kind of
and
have
that takes us back to the question then, who are we aiming for? So that's
Right.
the corporate, and how are they getting their information? So all that question still applies. We just have to think about how to work about it in that confine. Thank you,
Tonia,
Janet.
this is Emily. I just wanted to add also as a recommendation for people who are looking for corporate and business professionals, reaching out to your local advertising association. A lot of bigger cities have a national advertising association or the local business association, or even reaching out to clubs at colleges to get some new blood or younger blood is a good opportunity, because a lot of people that age are trying to hone in and improve their communication skills. So it's a great way to get Toastmasters in the door and bring it to their attention and make them realize that we're a good option to help improve their communication skills when they're going into the business world.
That is a great point, Emily. Thank you for sharing that.
Tonia, if I could add, oh, go ahead,
Oh,
Paul.
go ahead. You can go first, Don, then I'll go next.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Tonia, this was so good. I wish every club in our district could watch this recording. And I just wanted to add one thing to what you said about quality club meetings, excellence in club meetings, and how if we don't have that, we may lose a potential member. I just wanted to share with you, if that's okay, one step further. If we get people in our doors or on our Zoom meetings and the meeting is not quality and it's not of excellence, sometimes, most of the times I've seen that we can turn those guests off to Toastmasters altogether, not just that one club. And so I think that's a really good point that you were making about how we really need to focus on excellence for our guests, especially, and our members, of course. But
And that starts all the way back at our marketing pieces, the first pieces of info that they see about us. We need to be top of the line. We need to be easy to understand. We need to be spelled correctly. We need everything so that nothing stops them from moving forward. I am in a job search right now for two jobs that I have open on my team. I am debating whether or not a misspelled word on a resume will immediately kick somebody out of my consideration. But that's where we are, and that's what can cause something to stop us. So we always want to start all the way back at the beginning, all the way through to how does the club actually operate? Thank you, Don.
So Tanya, in the middle of the slides, on the one graph, you had grip email. Can you explain that? Because all of us get so annoyed. We give someone our email and we get bombarded with stuff and it turns us off. Can you explain what drip email is?
A drip email is what we refer to as a sequence email. So let's say that we have made contact with someone. Perhaps they've been a guest in the club, or perhaps they're a prospect. We've got their info. We may have an original introduction email. If they reply to that email, great. We send back an email. So glad to hear from you. Would love to have you come. Then they come to Toastmasters. We're good. We move them out of that. Let's say that they don't. Instead of just dropping it off at that very first email, what if we reach back out at another time? Now, I'm not saying the very next day, because I'm like Paul. I probably get a couple of hundred emails a day, and I have them funneling off to filters because I can tell by word searches which ones are trying to sell me something. So, but what if that second one is, let's invite them to that special event this time around. Let's offer them something so that it's not just another, would love to have you come this Wednesday morning, and they're getting the same thing over and over again. I also encourage with drip emails that it not just be the emails, What if then by the third or fourth time, we're actually calling someone? And it's not just an email, or we're sending a text, or we're Facebook messaging, something to switch it up that they're might be more likely to reply to. And then at some point we have to say, okay, they're off our list. They're not replying, or we have to give them the opportunity to opt out so that there is an unsubscribe option on that. But I also know that sometimes we have to see something 7 to 20 times before we'll make a decision about it. And as I tell my club often, and every time I lead a presentation, I share this, the human attention span is 8 seconds. The goldfish attention span is 9 seconds. I am trying to beat a goldfish. So sometimes I know that people have to see this a couple of times.
It took me 20 years before I joined Toastmasters. Now that is a sample of knowing that I was going to eventually join, but it took me that long to actually make the move. So patience is key.
Well, Janet, that's wonderful. We're so glad you made that move.
Tonia, one of the questions that was asked in chat, and then Don brought up a good point. He wished all club VPPR and VPMs could see this. It will be available on the D63 YouTube page. We will get it uploaded. And then if you don't mind, could you or would you mind sharing your slide deck? A lot of folks have.
I would be glad to. Yes.
That would be fantastic. If you could send it to me, we will post it so that the district could have access to it. That would be wonderful.
Wonderful. I'll send that to you tonight.
Thank you so much.
Looks like Dean has his hand up too.
Yeah, this was a great job. I always like your presentations. It's very informative and always get something out of just the different presentations, the different strategies. I think that's very helpful. One of the most important things that we need to realize is that our responses can't dead end. That's one of our problems we have, is that too many of our clubs have emails that dead end, or have a phone number that goes nowhere, or a person that's no longer at the company. That is something we really need to clean up, because that's a huge problem. And then not only that, but if you go and visit a club and you never get contacted again, you never get another email about upcoming events or the next meeting, that's another problem we have, is the lack of follow-up. And it comes back to bite us, because I can tell you, I visit a lot of clubs, and historically, most of them do not ever send me another email.
And that's where we've got to have communication with VPPR and VPM, and that cycle has to follow. That's a great point, Dean.
Hi, Tonia. This is Makeda Joseph from League of Our Own in Springfield. And
hi, Makeda.
Hi. Had a quick question. I wanted to know, what has been your most successful campaign since the start of COVID?
I am no longer the VPPR in my club. I gave that up mid-year last year so that someone else could do it after 2 years. But at the start of that, what we did was a lot of social media pushing. Social media is not your marketing plan. It is a tactic that you can use in your marketing plan. But we set up events. We pushed out with information. We made sure that everybody knew that virtual was an option. We made all of our contact info easy to find, and that kept us growing.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So Tonia, we talk about excellence being so important, and of course, having quality club meetings, and those are so critical. I'm a firm believer that if we are a low member club, we should make sure that we have each individual doing one thing in a meeting, and doing that one thing in a quality way, rather than have somebody in the meeting doing 3 different roles and struggling to try those 2 different roles and doing them in an unquality way. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that is a wonderful thing. It's very hard for us, even though we believe as humans that we can multitask, My father has a saying, a jack of all trades and a master of none. And my brother and I grew up with that phrase in our minds. And I think that applies in this. When we have someone who's trying to be sergeant at arms and VPM, that's going to be very hard for them at that moment, especially if, as sergeant at arms, they're also serving as Zoom master. And then they're trying to deal with tech issues and go capture those guests as VPM. So we want to think what we're asking someone to do, where those tasks could potentially overlap detrimentally, and how that could be very hard for the club.
Sure. And even at the role level within the club, if I'm trying to be an evaluator and a timer and something else at the same time, I'm not going to do a quality job in either of those roles. So the thought is, don't have the roles. Cover the ones, make sure everybody has one role. If it means you don't have a grammarian or you don't have a knot counter in the meeting, so be it. Again, for a guest, it's better that they see 6 people doing one thing in a quality way than 6 people trying to do 12 things and it's an unorganized mess. So that's kind of the point I was trying to make.
And don't ask your guests to be your grammarian.
I haven't tried that yet.
And Stephen, I think also involving as many of your members as you can, either in officer roles or in club roles, also helps keep your membership, which is a piece of the thing that Tonia mentioned, but we didn't go into a lot of details on. But how do you keep your members engaged? Give them a job. They're more likely to be satisfied. They're more likely to continue to come if they feel like they're needed.
Yeah, great point.
If they feel like they're needed because you're doing all the work, then they won't come.
Yeah, great point.
And one thing I did not bring up is your VPPR needs a team and your VPM needs a team. They are not lone rangers out there, nor should they be. They need people to help implement those stages that we talked about.
And Tonia, you did mention maintaining the people that you have. Do you have a different presentation that adds some points to that as well? Or how do you work that into this one?
That would actually be a different one because there's a whole other set of focus that we have to look at for that side of things. This was more on the marketing side, which is lead generation. Let's get them in. And then customer retention is customer satisfaction. That would be how do we keep them?
I have May 24th open, June 21st open, or June 28th. Which one would you like?
Good for you, Stephen. Get her lined up.
All right, I think of you all as family. You need to know that my bedtime is 8:30 Eastern.
Maybe we can tape it earlier and then we can play it. That will work too.
There you go. All right, any more questions for Tonia? Tonia, thank you so much. This has
Thank you.
been an incredibly valuable presentation. I've taken several pages of notes. I know everybody else here has as well. These are things that we can take back to our clubs and we can implement them right away. And I highly recommend we do that. Share these and make sure people are aware of this once it's out on the YouTube channel, because like Don said, all of our club officers and others should be seeing this presentation. So thank you so much for presenting this for us tonight. Let's give her a big round of applause. Nice job.
Thank you.
Stacy, what do you have tonight?
As you know, Stephen, we just finished our spring conference. Yay, we're celebrating that. We do have a couple of events coming up. One of them is this week in Knoxville. Yes, it's this week in Knoxville. It is a networking event. Tonia, exactly what you said. And we've tried this event before and we had no follow through. So no one followed up with all the leads. So we're trying to do this one as a project. We also have an event coming up on May the 8th, which is Vocal Variety. We have a guest coming in from England who will be zooming in and speaking to us on Vocal Variety. He is an opera singer and very well respected, does this presentation all over the world. So we're real excited about that. I think we also have a couple of other events in the works that we are planning. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Stacy.
If I could, there's another event on May 18th. It just got confirmed. Central Communicators 802 is offering the district a gift by sponsoring a special event. Dr. Paul Artali from District 62, He's a NSA member. He is a motivational speaker. And what he's going to do is offer a keynote for anyone who wants to possibly make a living at public speaking. He's an author of a book, and we're going to give away an autographed book to one lucky participant that shows up. You'll be seeing things really soon. We just have to clarify a couple things at tomorrow's meeting, but you'll see that marketing piece come out real soon. So at least save the date, May 18th, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The meeting will be less than an hour. And trust me, it'll be worth your while. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Paul. Marty?
Thank you, Tonia. That was a very insightful presentation. There were a lot of useful nuggets to help market our clubs. Maybe TI could take notice of that. When we get folks in our door or in our virtual world, we have to be the product of the product. So and also the fortune is always in the follow-up. And Tonia, I know you're tired. You were busy this past weekend as she competed in 3 speech contests, and she won 2 of them, the table topics and the evaluation speech contest. And she delivered an inspiring speech at the International Speech Contest. So thank you, Tonia, and thank you all the guests who attended. Stephen?
All right, thank you, Marty. Mentor Monday is coming up next week. Wow, May 3rd. 2 months left in the Toastmasters year. Whew. We've got Teresa Dunbar going to be doing fractured table topics. On May 10th, building a presentation sandwich with Kelly Knowles, how to prepare your speeches. And then on May 17th, we're going to be having a little discussion with the presidents of some of our thriving clubs within the district. This is our opportunity to pick their brains and find out why they are thriving clubs and what kind of things we can do to make our clubs thrive as well. So looking forward to those presentations. Anybody have anything else for the good of the district? Hearing none, thanks everyone for joining us on this Monday night. Again, Tonia, thank you for a wonderful presentation, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys again in the future. Take care, everyone.